What is up, casuals, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Show, where each and every week I, Nerdy D, breaks down everything you need to know about professional wrestling. This week we are discussing Charlotte Flair's injury, how it impacts WrestleMania 40, Carmelo Hayes' SmackDown appearance, and AJ Styles' return to wrestling. But first, if you want to support the Casual Wrestling Community Creator Fund and you have a couple of bucks to toss our way, you can follow the link in the description of this video to help support the growth of this channel. If not, that's okay. Strap in. We're about to talk pro wrestling. So it turns out, Lauren, that last week, during commercial break, Charlotte Flair appeared to be injured on SmackDown. And we came back from commercial, and you could see that something wasn't right. Now, they never showed, but it just looked like something had happened.
Yeah.
And so this week on SmackDown, they gave us an update, and they let us know that she tore her MCL, her ACL, and her meniscus in her knee. I mean, she tore basically everything that you could tear. She tore.
It's in your leg, right?
Yeah, it's in your knee. It's your knee. It's like everything. It's like every bad injury that athletes fear.
All at once.
She got the trifecta. She got everyone. And WWE is reporting that it's going to keep her out of action for 9 months, which is, if you know anything about sports injuries, that is an extremely generous estimation unless your name is Aaron Rodgers. Unless you have like real amazing doctors and things like that, and you kind of have a timetable where you're forced to push it faster like he was. 9 months seems incredibly fast for the amount of rehab she's going to. She's lost all mobility of that leg.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened? Because I didn't see or.
So I never saw exactly what happened. I do know it had something to do with her going up on ropes. I don't know if she was going to springboard off the rope. Somehow she got caught up and her knee had to have got caught. What I think is more impressive is she finished the match.
Yeah.
So she got up and finished the match with MCL tear, ACL tear, and a meniscus tear. That's insane. You talk about toughness. When the match ended, you could see her like writhing in pain, holding her leg. I didn't know if it was real or if it was storyline because they kind of speculated about it when they came out of commercial break, but they never explained what happened or that they just kind of said she took a nasty bump. It's interesting. But here's the thing. I don't know if you know this, but the IWC, they had already figured out WrestleMania.
Okay.
They've been telling me for weeks now, they know what Triple H is going to do at WrestleMania. And at WrestleMania, we were going to get Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair. IWC, they knew it already. I don't know how they stole Triple H's booking book, but somehow they got a hold of it. So that what was supposed to happen. Nobody else had any opportunity to have a big match at WrestleMania because this has been implanted for, I guess, the last 365 days. This has been known information. Okay, now these would not be the matches that I would book.
No,
I can tell you. When I look at that and I look at the level of excitement I have for WrestleMania 40, that didn't do it for me. So I never wish injury upon somebody, but this might have been a little bit of a shakeup that is going to benefit the casual wrestling fan from a booking standpoint, not from, never wish injury upon anybody. That's not, before everybody gets that twisted and says that's, you wanted Charlotte Flair to get hurt. No, but I think that this could skew the booking more in the direction that I want it to go in. And so I see, let's play a little game. I want to play a little game here with you. I have 3 scenarios now that I think could be possibilities for WrestleMania 40 that will actually appeal to a casual wrestling fan base. I see 3 scenarios that I could make work that without Charlotte Flair, you could still have one of the best women's cards you've ever seen.
Okay.
In WWE. So let me run these scenarios past you and you kind of tell me what you think. So scenario number one that I have is probably the safest scenario. And that is you slide Becky Lynch off of Raw. off of that match, the title match, the World Heavyweight Championship match. Because basically, you got to look at this. There's 3 major titles in the women's division. And saying major titles is a stretch at this point with the tag team titles, but we're going to throw it in there. World Heavyweight, Women's WWE title, and then you have the tag team championships. So I take the World Heavyweight Championship and I move Becky Lynch out of that picture for right now. And I go Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
That's a match I think needs to happen.
I like it.
And I don't want them to wait too long. That's the match that I actually prefer for WrestleMania. I think that both of those superstars are at the pinnacle of where they could be for a long time. And we could start kind of a long-term rivalry by taking WrestleMania 40, one that's going to have a lot of eyes on it, and having this match now. Don't delay it. Stop waiting. Stop talking about, oh, we could do that down the road. Do that match now. I think that's your safest bet. I think the poster's going to look good. I think casual fans are going to get behind that match. I think that works. Now, on the SmackDown side of things, since it won't be Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair, I think that you could continue what's working right now with the damage control stuff. We could play out this breakup with Bayley a little bit longer, and at WrestleMania, we could go Bayley versus Io Sky.
Ooh, that would be a good
for
one.
the WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah.
And I think that works. I actually think that those 2 matches, to me, are more interesting than what the IWC has said is going to happen for the last 365 days. Now, we take the tag team championships in this scenario.
Okay.
And I'm assuming, so I don't know if you saw Katana and Kaden Carter and Chance, whatever their names are, the little party girls.
Yeah.
They won the tag team titles on Raw.
No, I did not see that.
So we have new tag team women's champions.
Okay, cool.
I'm assuming they don't hold that all the way to WrestleMania. I just don't foresee them being the women's tag team champions going into the biggest event in WWE. So I'm assuming transitional champion, right? Let's get it off of Chelsea Green. Let's get it onto somebody that we can.
Green.
They didn't let her do that this week for some
Why?
reason. There's some Twitter stuff going on where she said, I was told not to do it.
That's so stupid. I love that.
But I think they're trying. So I think what was happening is Chelsea Green has had her run. I think we're going to get some single stuff from Chelsea Green. And I think they didn't want to draw attention to her losing this title, right? So you just want this to kind of happen quietly. They wanted to get the title off, or the titles off of kind of a comedy tag team and onto a team that has a little bit of credibility, which I think Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, they have that credibility. So you get those belts onto somebody who has credibility. So we're paving the way for Asuka and Kairi Sane to take those tag team titles at some point and carry them into WrestleMania. I think for sure going into WrestleMania, Damage Control will have the tag team championships and the women's world heavyweight or the women's WWE championship. It'll be Io holding one, and it will be Kairi Sane and Asuka holding the other. And I think by then Bayley will have split off. And I think if you're going to WrestleMania and this is the match you have, and you have the tag team titles on the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time. Insert Becky Lynch and tag team her with Sasha Banks. Have Sasha show up.
You say Sasha's going to come back?
There's lots of rumors going on with Sasha right now. So the rumors going on, let me catch up with Sasha right now.
Okay.
So
it's fucking freezing in here, bro.
So it is cold. You can grab the controller and turn it up if you want at any point. So here's the deal with Sasha Banks. There were rumors that she was written into the plans for AEW, that they had creative plans set in stone and they knew what they were going to do with her. Now, all of a sudden, it's being reported that those plans have been dropped. No longer does AEW think she's going AEW. I also read a report that she's no longer under contract in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, what does that leave you to believe?
She's coming back to WWE.
She's kind of cut ties with all these other options. She's probably sat down. She saw CM Punk come back. She saw Randy Orton come back. She saw the excitement surrounding WWE. When you start looking at all the wrestling companies, this has happened since Triple H has taken over. Right now, the most appealing company is WWE. So I think she sees that landscape and goes, okay, things have changed. You know, I think her beef was with Vince McMahon and not knowing how to book her. I think that Triple H can lay out a pretty solid plan for Sasha Banks. And so I see that there's a high probability that Sasha Banks returns at WrestleMania. And I think in a match against, look, she had the whole story in New Japan Pro was with Kairi Sane. that story just carries over.
That's true.
So you have Becky Lynch, who needs something to do. If she's not going to be in a match against Rhea Ripley,
is that where she went? Kyrie Sean.
That was where we got all that shit for saying that she sounded like she was drunk or on drugs.
Yeah.
But yes, that story can just carry right over into WWE. They can just roll with what was going on, have her come back, and have kind of because at that point you're gonna have Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane as kind of a faction minus Bayley.
Yeah.
So Bayley's gonna have to kind of recruit, and what's better than at least 3 out of the 4 horsewomen?
Yeah.
So you can't get Charlotte, but you could do Becky, Bayley, and Sasha.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. So that's scenario 1.
That's okay.
Okay. I think that is the most likely. If I'm betting, that's where I'm putting my money. Rhea Bianca, that's a 5-star match in a casual opinion.
That would be pretty freaking cool.
Bayley versus Io, I think we're all sold on that at this point.
Too.
We kind of know it's coming. And then the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Becky and Sasha Banks.
Do you think at any point that Sasha Banks was like, I made the wrong decision to leave?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Same with CM Punk, right? Sometimes things are necessary. I imagine that by leaving and then all of that shit happening, she did raise her value. Because now she gets to enter back in on
what shit?
The Vince McMahon and the changing and the TKO buying WWE and Vince McMahon seemingly getting pushed out. So you had seemingly what was a fight between her and Vince McMahon or creative or something where she walks out of the company, okay? And she goes and does her own thing. And while I don't think it was that successful, it definitely was not a failure. She didn't go fail somewhere.
Yeah.
And by being smart and not jumping to AEW, she's actually built a little bit of a mystique and kind of a hype around, okay, where does she go now? She got injured. And so she's had time to kind of, watch the landscape play out. You have the transition between WWE and TKO and Triple H taking over. And I think now you look at it and you go, Sasha Banks returning feels like a big deal. It would feel like a big deal at this point.
Yeah.
It would feel almost on the level of like Randy Orton and CM Punk.
Yeah.
You could sell it that way at least. So that's what I think. I don't think she looks at it and goes, oh man, I fucked up. She probably looks at it like, okay, I did the right thing. I got out when I was a little bit burned out on WWE. Luckily, I got to do what I wanted in Japan, got to have that match in that moment. I think she's a little bit of a wrestling nerd, so I think that lore means something to her. And then she probably can step right back in where she left off, if not in a better position. Mm-hmm. All right, so scenario number 2, Lauren.
Okay.
You keep Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. Don't change that. Let that stay the same, right? And on SmackDown, you go Bayley and Io Sky. Like I said, you that stays on the path. What you do now is you slide Bianca Belair into a new position. And I still like the idea of Asuka and Kairi Sane coming into WrestleMania with the tag team championships. But this time, if we can't get Sasha, we already got Jade Cargill. And we go Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the tag team championships. Jade Cargill's first match in the main roster situation, and you have Bianca and Jade win the tag team championships and just dominate that division.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
I think that is a solid way. Look, there's no doubt in my mind, Jade Cargill, talent-wise, is not on the same level as some of these girls. So a good way to protect somebody like that is to put them in a tag team where they can be dominant, they can hit their spots and then get out and let Bianca carry the brunt of the work. So I actually think that could work. And even if you have them lose that match, which I think would be stupid, you still get that big WrestleMania moment. And maybe you have them lose the match and you have Jade Cargill turn on Bianca Belair. There's so many opportunities, but once again, if you don't have Sasha Banks, insert Jade Cargill into that picture, and I still think it works. Scenario number 3. And this is my most outlandish one. We still go Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Okay with that, okay? Instead of Io Sky and Bayley, we go Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill as our second build biggest match on the card. Now, we still do Io Sky versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah.
It's just not billed as upfront as Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. Like I said, this is my most outlandish scenario, but I still think it works because I think Rhea versus Becky, that's going to sell itself. They're two of the biggest names on Raw. Bianca versus Jade Cargill is going to get the attention of every wrestling fan, casual and hardcore IWC. You go Io versus Bayley, still for the WWE Women's Championship. And then, once again, I'm sticking to it. We're keeping Asuka and Kairi Sane as the tag team champions. We have an open challenge at WrestleMania.
Okay.
We say, whoever wants to come in and challenge us for the tag team titles, you show up right now. Sasha Banks comes back, followed by Naomi.
Ooh, that would be so cool.
They were the tag team champions when they walked out.
True.
And so they show back up to take what they what they left without.
We're coming back to get what we took.
I think that could work too.
True.
So we can mix and intermix some of these, but I think
I don't love Rhea versus Becky.
I don't either.
At all.
I don't think there's enough history between the two for that to work, even now, right? Because they're still kind of positioning Becky against Nia Jax, and there's been no seeds, almost no interaction between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. So to turn around in January and start going, okay, we've got to make this make sense like it works. I don't know. There's not enough history there. I think there's enough history with Bianca Belair just from the past that you can insert Bianca into that scenario and it immediately
It's
works.
also like a believability, I guess. I don't see it.
I know what you're saying. I think Becky tends to defy believability.
Yeah.
From like that, you're talking about from like Rhea Ripley's just so big and dominant. I think that Becky can overcome that. I think she can. My fear for Becky is I think Rhea Ripley can out-talk Becky Lynch on a microphone, and Becky's kind of big selling point has always been her promo. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, she's great in the ring, but I think that a lot of people have been sold on her ability to kind of be the underdog and talk her way through things. And Rhea Ripley's pretty damn good on a microphone. Yeah. I think that Bianca Belair can play the sympathetic babyface, which she does extremely well, chasing the championship. The crowd gets behind her. They want her to win. Rhea Ripley gets a little nasty. Becky Lynch tends to try to be a tough guy. Mm-hmm. She doesn't lend herself to the underdog.
And I don't know if I like tough versus tough, you know?
Especially not in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that those are my scenarios for that. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do a little housekeeping, Laura.
Okay.
We've been talking, and I might have set myself up for failure. Okay. I tried to do 5 shows a week, and I've ended up falling behind. Now it's Christmas. That has been extremely hard with the kids out of school. It is hard to do anything with Christmas shopping and prepping and all that stuff. But for the foreseeable future, we're going to cut it down to 2 shows a week. We talked about this, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to combine the Champ and the Chick and what was the show with me, you, and my dad.
Yeah. We're
going to combine that show. And this is where it gets confusing, and this is stupid, and I fucked this all up, but we're going to do a reset right now. That's the Nerdy D show.
Okay.
That is going to be the Nerdy D show. The Nerdy D show is going to be 4 topics, a little bit of wrestling, a lot of just falling off the rails and talking shit. Mm-hmm. And that show will be once a week.
All right.
On the flip side, I'm going to do the casual wrestling show. Back to what it originally was, 1 time a week, strictly talking wrestling. And I don't want to do it by myself anymore. I've grown tired. Talking to yourself, being a talking head into a microphone by yourself sucks. I'm burning out. I'm getting tired of it. I feel like I'm talking about the same things over and over. Already this conversational feels so much better.
Me, duh.
I did miss you. I missed you so much.
If you missed me, drop a comment. I'm just
kidding. Shut up. But yes, you will be a guest on the show. Anybody else who wants to come and talk wrestling, there will be an email where you can email me and we can go back and forth and see what works, but it will still have a set time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be conversational.
It's a lot. I think it's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, like,
it's hard when you're writing a show by yourself, one person, it's almost has to be scripted. And the more that it's scripted, the less I like doing it. I like the conversation of talking about wrestling. And if you're going to have a channel that's called the Casual Wrestling Community, it feels real weird to be like the dictator of the channel and be the only one that like gets an opinion on the camera. I thought one thing that's led to this was we did the premium live experience with Mike, which was, I had so much fun doing. And that's been one of the best videos that the channel's done. It garnered attention. And I think I think people get tired of just seeing my face. And so being able to talk and being able to be less robotic. When I write a script, it's so robotic. It's almost like I'm playing to like, I got to hit this beat, hit this beat, hit this beat. And I just want it to be conversational. So we're going to do that. That will be going forward 2 shows.
And I'll be on here sometimes.
You'll fill in for if I don't have a guest, you'll come help me out on this show. But it's always going to be conversational. It just feels better. The Casual Wrestling Awards, Lauren, the voting is currently going on.
Okay.
We are going to announce those. Now, there's no
Where do we
shows.
vote?
There's no shows next week. There is a Google Doc. It is in the YouTube, in the community section. It is also in the Discord.
Okay.
It will be on the website tonight. So if you want to vote for the Casual Wrestling Community Awards, those are up. You can do that now. Originally, the voting was going to end this week. Let's extend it to next week. And we're not recording any real shows next week. Or wait, no, is next week the last week of? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's next week. We're not recording any new content next week, but we will do the awards announcement next week.
Okay.
All right. So that kind of, I'm sorry that's long-winded, but I had to kind of reset the schedule. Casual Wrestling Show will be every Wednesday. It will record Wednesdays and post Wednesday nights. Then the Nerdy D Show will record Thursdays and post Thursday nights. That makes sense?
Yes. So Wednesday and Thursday.
Yes.
Nights.
Those are the 2 nights.
Are your releases?
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So second thing I wanted to talk about this week. Carmelo Hayes was on SmackDown. He was the NXT representative for SmackDown in the Intercontinental Championship tournament, and he had a big win on SmackDown. He beat, who the fuck did he beat? Why am I drawing a blank? He beat somebody.
I don't remember.
He beat somebody, and it was a good Grayson Waller. I believe he beat Grayson Waller. Yeah. So I want to be careful when I set this topic up, because I think there's a tendency to think I'm shitting on things when I'm critical of things. But I thought Carmelo Hayes' match was impressive, but I thought it kind of proved my point that like when the top NXT guys show up on the main roster, they don't have that full swag that they have on NXT. Like when they have to go in front of the big lights, and I get it, a little bit is the casual crowd doesn't necessarily know who that person is. If you don't watch NXT, you don't know who Carmelo Hayes is. But this led me down kind of a weird rabbit hole.
Okay.
Because I kind of trying to play prediction here, kind of looking at the landscape of WWE. It looks to me like we could be headed down the line for some version of Carmelo Hayes versus Logan Paul.
Really?
There's a possibility of that. I think that Kevin Owens is my front runner to win the Intercontinental Championship tournament, but I'm not mad at the idea of Carmelo Hayes sneaking up and winning and making a name for himself and taking on Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble or wherever I don't know where the winner gets their title match, but I'm not against that. But this led me down this weird rabbit hole in my head, because while Carmelo Hayes is extremely talented and he's very good in the ring, I feel like SmackDown already has somebody who is primed for that spot, who's just oddly been kind of cast to the side and is almost stuck in what I would call is like tag team purgatory for himself, because, and this is Montez Ford, who I'm talking about.
Okay.
And Montez Ford is kind of stuck in tag team purgatory. So it led me to ask the question, who has more potential on the SmackDown roster to be a bigger star, Carmelo Hayes or Montez Ford? And so I think that like when I look at the landscape of SmackDown, the first question is Montez Ford being held back by being part of the Street Profits?
My honest opinion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so too. I mean, like I truly believe, and that's that's not meant to be a knock on Angelo Dawkins, because I think maybe he is too. I think at some point Angelo's going to have to go out on his own and sink or swim. And I think he swims, because I've seen maybe the most improvement in any person I've ever seen.
Definitely.
In professional wrestling. I've seen that with Angelo Dawkins. So this is not meant to say that somehow one or the other is holding each other back. I think just them being a unit is holding each other back, because I think they had their tag team heyday. They were tag team champions. They dominated the division. And I think that run has kind of come and gone. Now, they've tried to put him into this group with Bobby Lashley, which has had its high moments, but now is really just turned into kind of a sideshow on SmackDown. It doesn't feel important. Yeah. So I do believe, when I look at like where Carmelo Hayes is headed, and just, this is just guessing. This is just predicting the future. I don't wonder if that's not a spot better meant for someone like Montez Ford. I don't understand why Montez is not in that conversation. I think that a great match to make right now for Royal Rumble would have been Montez Ford versus Logan Paul.
That would be pretty crazy.
So much star power in that match, and it can be an introduction for Montez Ford to this world of singles wrestling. If you remember last year when Montez Ford took on Roman Reigns, he kind of showed the glimpses of what he could be. And then all of a sudden, he kind of got relegated back into that tag team world. And since then, I think he was in the Elimination Chamber even, right?
Yeah.
And he did so well in the Elimination Chamber. And then all of a sudden, it's like they put the brakes on anything they were doing with Montez Ford. And all of a sudden, now he's just relegated to being kind of, it's going to sound disrespectful, but it's not meant to sound disrespectful. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins look like fucking cheerleaders for Bobby Lashley. And they're absolutely so much better than that.
I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, like, their whole kind of demeanor has changed since they've joined that group. They're no longer like the street profits that I know anymore. But like,
I don't know if they're bad guys. I don't know if they're good guys. It almost seems like they started off wanting to make them bad guys, but the crowd wouldn't buy into it. So now they're cheered, but like they don't really have a direction.
Weird band uniform things on.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't really care about that. I think for them, any outfit works. The suits were better when they were wearing the suits, but it just, to me, I think that group lacks direction, and I think it was an idea that they tried, and I think they're going to have to get out of that as quickly as possible. But so then let's talk about Carmelo Hayes, because here's my concerns with Carmelo Hayes. I don't know, judging what I saw on SmackDown, if Carmelo Hayes can ever have the same impact on SmackDown that he did in NXT. NXT just provides these certain elements that I think give these hardcore IWC and NXT stans, it gives, and that's not meant to be negative. That's just, there is a group of people who really love NXT, and that's not me, and it's not a casual fan. But there are these fans who buy into this idea that in this small arena, which it is a small arena with a bunch of people who are live or die what goes on in that small arena. Yeah. That these certain guys get these followings and they swell up, and it just feels like maybe they're bigger than they really are.
Yeah.
And they're big in this little bubble, but once they get outside that bubble, can they really succeed the same way? Now, someone like LA Knight has proved, yes, you can. You definitely can. But I would say someone like Grayson Waller or Johnny Gargano has shown that you got to cool it a little bit. You come up to that next level. Karrion Kross is another one, right? These people come up to that next level, and it's like, pump the brakes a little bit. When you get in front of a bunch of people who don't live and breathe wrestling, it's harder to connect. And that's my fear with Carmelo Hayes, is when Carmelo Hayes comes out in NXT, the lights and things, like they hang jerseys in the rafters, and there's this big package that comes with him.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
What is his gimmick exactly? Who? Carmelo Hayes.
Like athlete, like super athlete. So the gimmick was like kind of like basketball, but every time he beat somebody, he retired their jersey to the rafters. So when he comes out in NXT, they would drop like a banner for each person he's beaten.
Okay, well,
when he came out on SmackDown, they just played his music in a generic background.
So how would I know that as a new viewer of him.
And is that how they're going to package him? I think if you package him that way on the main roster, you can make him seem important. But the question is, can Carmelo Hayes get over with a casual crowd without the glitz and the glamour, without the retired jerseys, without the history? You know, that's the problem. One of the big disconnects is NXT is so good at gimmicks that when these guys move forward and the gimmick doesn't necessarily move with them, it causes a disconnect, because you have this NXT crowd who's chanting, you got to see like the Da Vinci for Imperium. He's so good. You guys just don't know it. And casual fans,
big in NXT.
Yeah. And so casual fans who watch, he had this entrance where he came out and it was like, I think it was like camera flashes and things like that. So there was
is he Da Vinci like he's a work of art?
Yes, I think so. I think he was like an Italian. Yes. I believe. I don't know, because I
never knew that.
I don't watch enough NXT to know, but I believe it was in that world. Someone who watches NXT will correct us, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I believe, and then it doesn't translate when they go to the next level, right?
Because I always forget who he is, honestly.
Exactly. So that's my point. Is from a casual standpoint, is some of these great gimmicks don't translate when they come to the main roster, because we just know them as what we see. Mm-hmm. And I try from time to time to watch NXT, but I don't want to be that hardcore fan. I can't do a third wrestling show. As it is, I'm sleeping through an hour of Monday Night Raw these days, right? Because it's just so long and there's so much that doesn't belong on TV.
I don't want to have to go back and do like a history lesson of like why I should like this character. I want to see them and I want to know why I like them right then and there. And then sometimes, like, as we talked about in one of the episodes, that like I like to go back and learn more about that person, but there's something that either I did not like about them that made me go and research them, or that I did. Yeah. You know?
Mm-hmm. So question.
Yeah.
Who wins a mid-card title first? Carmelo Hayes or Montez Ford? And I'm asking you this hypothetically because I know you don't know enough about Carmelo Hayes, but you throw a name out there and I'll...
So I'm going to say Montez Ford, only because like he has the personality, he has the look, he's got the crowd, you know.
So I'm with you, but I think you're speaking from who deserves to win one first.
Yeah.
To me, the way Carmelo is being presented, I think Carmelo is on a track to be in a better position than Montez Ford. Every day that Montez Ford is relegated to kind of third member of a faction, and you know it's pick or choose who's third member. It's either Angelo Dawkins or Montez Ford. But the more he's positioned that way, the more he becomes pigeonholed into that position, and it's hard to break out of stereotypes like that. Mm-hmm. As he's just a tag team wrestler, right? That's what we know him as. He's a tag team wrestler, and oh shit, we need a good tag team that's going to be exciting. Throw the Street Profits in there.
We know that they can do it.
Yeah, there was a time where I was like, don't break them up, but I think what's funny is you don't have to break people up in like a strenuous way. They don't have to hate each other.
The New Day, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let them go try some single stuff while still being in each other's corner. Mm-hmm. I would like that. I think that could work. But
yeah.
I honestly believe that Carmelo Hayes wins a mid-card title on WWE before Montez Ford. I just don't see WWE or Triple H, and I know Triple H likes Montez Ford, but I just don't see right now the path moving forward unless they somehow could get him involved with Logan Paul, which I think should happen. I truly believe right now, I believe we're on a crash course for LA Knight to get to Logan Paul, and I don't know if LA Knight's going away anytime soon. So for the foreseeable future, I think Logan's transitional at this point. He's proved it. He's not there every week. He's not showing up every week. So I think he's probably transitional through WrestleMania. He loses the title at WrestleMania, and it's probably LA Knight. And then how long LA Knight holds it depends on how long the hysteria keeps up. Mm-hmm. So, Lauren, I want to double down on something from last week. Okay. So last week I talked about Alberto Del Rio, and he wrestled in front of 25 people in a Dallas gymnasium. And I talked, and I don't want to say I misspoke, because I didn't fucking misspeak, because that's what people are trying to play it as. But I said, it is sad what a couple of bad decisions can do to your career. And people tried to jump on me as if I was letting him off the hook by saying a couple of bad decisions. They're horrible decisions. He kidnapped somebody.
It's not funny that he kidnapped somebody.
No,
but
but it's funny that like no matter what I say, and this is TikTok, right? YouTube, the reception was cool, right? YouTube, everybody understands that I'm just talking and I choose certain words. But on TikTok, it's like if you don't use the exact word that they want you to use, they try to crucify you. I never said what he did was okay. And when I said a couple of bad decisions, the definition of bad is fucking bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. He made bad decisions. Kidnapping somebody is a bad decision. Now, I don't know, like, here's, and this is just the devil's advocate of that argument.
Did he get charged, like,
no.
officially? So allegedly
he never got convicted. Now, there were witnesses and shit that went missing. So there's a whole different, like, story arc.
Witnesses that went missing?
Yes, this all happened in San Antonio, by the way.
Oh.
But there's, that's a whole different story arc that I'm not even going to get into the minutia of the details. But number one, not convicted. So I'm not going to touch on that part of it. Number two, when I fucking say bad decisions, I mean horrible decisions. I mean despicable, vile decisions. What I meant when I talked about it was, it is sad. It is sad that when you do stupid shit, that there are consequences. I don't mean that in a way that like, oh, I'm sad for him. I mean, that's life. That's reality.
In general, like
some people don't get the redemption arc. But on the flip side of this shit, I want to talk about, don't fucking come at me for that shit when you guys give guys like Ric Flair and Vince McMahon a fucking pass every day of the fucking week, and you're okay with the things they do, and they're allowed to have redemption arcs. But when I say something, and I wasn't even fucking taking his side, so this is what's bullshit is, I agree that what he did was fucking despicable if he did it, right?
Yeah. Allegedly. You don't know.
Not disputing that. My problem is, Ric Flair fucking helicoptered his dick on an airplane in front of a bunch of fucking women, and all of a sudden, everybody's cheering him in AEW like it's not a big fucking deal. My problem is just be consistent.
Yeah.
And don't fucking hang on every word as if like, I saw someone was like, this is an L take. And I'm like,
give too much meaning to words. Like, don't fucking look further into it than what it is.
Don't place meaning on what I'm saying. If I say a couple of bad decisions, it's a couple of bad decisions. I consider kidnapping a bad decision. You might want to use the word horrible, but I say bad. Bad is the word that I chose to use. And I think I'm doubling down on that. I think it's bullshit. But here's the other problem, right?
Okay.
These same motherfuckers who came at me better not watch UFC. Because Alberto Del Rio's fucking employed by the UFC. So if he kidnapped somebody and he did all this bad shit, why did UFC still give him a fucking job to commentate in Spanish?
True.
My problem is TikTok is full of fucking white knight soldiers who run around on social media, and it just, you always, like, they need bad guys. They need to make people like me the bad guy and like, oh, you stand behind Alberto Del Rio, you stand behind kidnapping. No, I don't fucking stand behind kidnapping. I made a fucking comment about a video I saw where Alberto Del Rio was wrestling in a fucking high school gym with 25 people watching, and I said, oh man, this wrestler that I used to really like, the wrestler, not the person. I don't fucking know Alberto Del Rio. The wrestler that I used to like it's sad that he made stupid fucking choices and it resulted in the wrestler that I like now wrestling in front of 25 fucking people.
Yeah.
That's all it was. That's
I mean,
what I'm
I really liked Riddle and like RK Bro, but like, he made some bad decisions.
Riddle's another example, right? Like, Riddle's made fucking mistakes and done bad things. It's just everybody gets to draw this line where the fuck they want, and nobody gets a redemption arc, or certain people do, certain people don't. But what it boils down to, and I want to be fucking done with this, what it boils down to is I wasn't even on his fucking side.
Yeah.
The take I was giving, I just didn't use
the proper word.
I didn't use strong enough hate towards him for what he allegedly did to satisfy people's fucking like thirst for like, I needed to just like completely just, degrade the man.
Yeah.
All right. Last topic of the day here, Lauren. On SmackDown this week, AJ Styles returned, and that motherfucker, I don't know what it is right now. These people are going and getting injured and coming back, and they just look like they lived in the weight room. I mean, did you see?
No, I didn't watch.
Oh my God, you're gonna have to go look up a picture of AJ Styles and Randy Orton standing next to each other. These dudes are like almost,
I saw Randy,
but both these dudes are like 50, and I would argue they may be the two most in shape athletes in WWE right now. Like, AJ Styles looked fucking phenomenal. And so what that led me.
Oh my God.
You see the picture?
Yeah.
You see the picture of that shit?
He's got like fucking
like talk about coming back and
arms
making
the size
yourself
of my thigh.
Yeah, he came back, make yourself relevant immediately. So this is what I want to talk about. Is there was a second after Survivor Series where I got very nervous, Lauren.
Okay.
I started thinking, fuck, Monday Night Raw has CM Punk. They have Randy Orton. They have Seth Rollins. They had so many different high-level superstars. This was the assumption, right? And I started thinking, oh shit, it looks like SmackDown's going to be the weaker of the two shows. Now, all of a sudden, I turn around 2 weeks removed or 3 weeks removed from Survivor Series. SmackDown has Randy Orton. We got Randy Orton.
Yeah.
We got Roman Reigns. We got LA Knight. We got AJ Styles. My question right now, who is the biggest star on SmackDown from a casual fan's perspective? And this is a great question for you because you don't watch all the time.
Yeah.
So when I just start saying these names and I show excitement for them, who's the biggest star?
Okay, so we said
Randy Orton, LA Knight. You see what AJ Styles looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who has Roman, Randy, LA Knight, AJ Styles. You still have Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Bianca Belair.
Oh, I like Bianca Belair.
Who's the biggest star on SmackDown right now? Who is the top dog?
Randy Orton is.
I know he's your favorite.
Like Randy Orton, but I don't think that he's everybody's favorite.
I don't know. There's a lot of love for Randy, and I have a lot of love for Randy.
I don't think that it's AJ Styles. He's off the list. Okay.
So I will tell you that there is a subculture of wrestling fans, and I will tell you what this is.
Is it older people?
No, it's people who watch TNA wrestling. Anybody who watched TNA/Impact Wrestling and watched AJ Styles, they will swear to you. Now I didn't watch, so I can't vouch for this.
They have to be older people though.
Old. What the fuck is older?
Like, so when I'm saying older people, I mean like over the age of like 25.
I guess. I mean, you could have watched when you were like 8 or 9 and still. I mean, I'm not gonna have that argument. But
when I say casual, so to me, casual is gonna be like newer wrestling fans that are kind of just like into it.
Don't get me in this argument. I don't think newer.
Whatever.
I don't think newer has anything to do with it. I think it's at what level you watch. But all right, so let's talk.
Well, I feel like Roman's never there, so I mean
that's my problem. I don't know
he's
that
not
when Roman shows up, it's a big deal. It's fun. It's exciting. But the problem is, I don't know if I can label you the biggest star on SmackDown without you actually being there on a weekly basis. He's going to show up, he's going to disappear, and the next time we'll see Roman Reigns wrestle will be at the Royal Rumble. That's it. So you're not the biggest star. You're the biggest. Like I get it, like personality and overall you hold the biggest title and when you're there, sure. When Roman's on the show, he's the biggest star, but he's not a day-to-day guy, so I can't give that title. So that leads me, you got to talk about LA Knight, who
that's who I was going to pick. I was like, who's the last one? I think it's LA Knight.
Arguably, do you think LA Knight I can't tell. I can't get my finger on the pulse.
Like right now or like just overall?
Right now. Who is the biggest star on SmackDown right now?
I think it's LA Knight. I think he's got the crowd. Like, in my opinion. And me, I'm interested in LA Knight. I want to see what LA Knight is doing. I look forward to seeing LA Knight.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So that's the two. So when I start talking, so here's what I did. I broke down SmackDown because my second question that I'm going to lead into is which show has a better roster.
Okay.
But first, let's just talk SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I did what I thought was, from a casual fan's perspective, I tried to break SmackDown into a tier list. Okay? Now, you tell me if these names are wrong, you tell me who I have in the wrong tier. Tier 1. Tier 1 superstars on SmackDown would be Roman Reigns, LA Knight, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, even though she's injured, and I'm going to put Logan Paul on this list.
I agree.
Just because, same as Roman, when Logan Paul is there, he commands a lot of attention.
Yeah, because he's Logan Paul.
So then tier 2, I have Bobby Lashley. Would you say, I think Bobby Lashley's capable of being tier 1, but I think that like how they're currently presenting Bobby Lashley, he is a tier 2 superstar.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I have Rey Mysterio, tier 2.
I think so.
But he's hurt and he's not relevant right now. He can be tier 1. I think these guys are capable of being tier 1.
But right now they're not.
But right now he's not a tier 1 because he's not there. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe you go tier 1 with Rey Mysterio. I've just never been huge on Rey Mysterio. Solo Sikoa, tier 2.
I agree.
Think that's tier 2?
Agree, yes.
Bayley, tier 2.
I think Bayley's tier 1.
You think she's tier 1?
Well, no. I don't know because like right now, I think she's a great part of the group.
Exactly. I think so all of these people, I would argue, Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, and Bayley.
Tier 1, we're considering like superstars who can hold it on their own. Right?
I consider them people that someone buys a ticket to go see.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
I buy a ticket to go see LA Knight. That's why I'm there. I buy a ticket to go see Roman Reigns. I don't necessarily, and this is not meant to be a knock, because once again, I think Bayley fully capable of being tier 1 superstar. She's just right now part, like you said, part of a faction, and she doesn't need to be the main attraction. Tier 2 is not meant to be a knock on anybody.
No.
It's just where I view them as far as like the importance to the fandom of casual fans.
Okay.
Jimmy Uso, tier 2.
Yeah.
Okay. 3? You're moving Jimmy to 3?
I mean, tier 2. Bill, like,
Okay.
yeah.
And Asuka, tier 2.
Yeah.
And Wavy D is going to hate me for that, but I don't care. That's tier 2. I just don't think she's tier 1 right now. And then tier 3, I have Io Sky.
I think she's boring.
So that's why I have her tier 3.
So
I don't think that people are buying tickets to go see Io Sky.
I don't think so either.
Street Profits, Pretty Deadly, Santos Escobar, and Theory and Waller.
Yeah.
I think
I'll agree with your thing.
Theory and Waller have a capability to be tier 2. I just don't think they always are. And with them both kind of getting their ass beat on SmackDown this last week, I don't feel like they're in the plans to be relevant. But so, yeah, I mean, when you look at this, Randy Orton or LA Knight has to be the top superstar on SmackDown.
Those are my initial ones.
So then let's move to this idea of which show has the better roster. Okay. Now, I'm gonna put a caveat on this because it's not necessarily fair that you have a 3-hour show and you have a 2-hour show, so it's kind of the pound for pound discussion, right? Well, Raw has more people. You've got to talk about squishing all these people into 2 hours versus 3 hours.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
so there's a little bit of a bias when I talk about this. So tier 1, Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
Seth Rollins.
Okay.
CM Punk.
Okay.
Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch. Cody Rhodes. Gunther.
All right.
Would you agree? All of those names tier 1.
Yes.
Tier 2. This is where I think we'll get some pushback, and you may even push back. Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
Is he 1 or 2?
He's 2 right now.
He's 2 right now.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. Everybody not named Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day is tier 2.
Oh, 100%.
Dom, Finn, Damian. I don't think JD's in this conversation. Even R-Truth.
3.
R-Truth is tier 2.
Yeah.
Jey Uso, tier 2.
Okay.
Capable of being tier 1, but I think he's tier 2. He's going to have to prove beyond what's going on. And then I have Sami Zayn tier 2 only because he's taking time off.
Yeah.
So he's really not even a factor in what's going on right now. Tier 3, I have R-Truth in tier 3. I think he's tier 2. I think there are people who get excited to see R-Truth. I definitely do. So, but I have him listed tier 3 just because he can disappear in the blink of an eye. They use him and then they don't use him. But right now they're using him well. Tier 3, I have Alpha Academy.
Okay.
I have The Miz. And I have The New Day.
All right.
So looking at this roster, we really just got to look at the top of the roster because I think that's where you come from.
I've already made my decision.
Do you prefer Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, Cody Rhodes, and Gunther? Or do you prefer Roman Reigns, LA Knight, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Logan Paul?
I mean, is that even a question?
I think you get a question because I think Rollins and Punk together is going to be the best thing on wrestling television. But
CM Punk, but
yeah,
I mean, everybody who I like is on SmackDown.
And that's why I say I'm a SmackDown guy.
Yeah. I can't argue with that.
For 2 hours, when you have 2 hours to put on programming and you have the ability to put Roman Reigns, LA Knight, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Bianca Belair, Charlotte's hurt, but you have Logan Paul. You have the ability to put all of those people on television. I don't know that you can beat that in 2 hours. I really don't. I really believe that with my heart of heart, while I think, like I said, Seth Rollins and CM Punk is going to be the biggest thing in wrestling this year. It'll end up being the biggest feud. Or next, if it doesn't start till next year, whatever. Because they're now running Seth and Drew, which gives CM Punk, I think, time to get in shape. But yeah, I think I still believe in my heart of hearts that SmackDown has the better roster.
Yeah.
All right, let's do what's left to talk about here, Lauren. We already kind of talked about AEW no longer has creative plans for Sasha Banks. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. Tony Khan says that he will fight the WWE forever.
Well, what is he fighting?
He's delusional, man. He's at this point, I think he is a crazy person. I really do. I think that the time has come and gone where he was competitive with WWE. There was a hot minute. There was a minute where it felt like he was a blip on the radar of the WWE and that they understood that they had to take them seriously. But I think when Triple H took over, he put his foot on the throat. I think losing CM Punk and then CM Punk showing up in WWE was the nail in the coffin. There is no competing. He doesn't have the roster to compete anymore. You've got Bryan Danielson is now the czar of AEW. He's fining people for saying the wrong thing. You have EVPs who are wrestlers in the company. You now have, which don't wish bad things on anybody, but Kenny Omega has diverticulitis, so it looks like he's out of action for a while. They're just, I think they're crumbling from the inside. This whole little devil angle they have going on is the only thing saving them. Cody Rhodes did an interview where he talked about he believes MJF will be in WWE one day. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that day is sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think the writing is on the wall for AEW. I don't think they compete. And I do believe Tony Khan will keep funneling money into this company to keep it alive as long as possible. And it has seen its best days. I do believe that. And that's a statement that's going to piss a lot of people off. But I think AEW has seen its best days.
I don't even pay attention to AEW at all anymore.
I don't either. I used to try to keep up because I wanted to be able to reference things. And I used to watch MJF just because he entertained me. But even now, nothing kind of sells me on this idea that I need to sit down on Wednesdays and Saturdays and pay attention to what's going on. I can just keep up by checking out the news and checking out clips on TikTok and YouTube. For sure. New WWE Women's Champions. We talked about that. New series focusing on the action of micro wrestling is coming to the Discovery Channel, Lauren.
What?
I sent you this last night. You didn't see it?
No, I did not.
So I
want to go see micro wrestling so bad.
We need to. We need to go see it. We need to do a casual wrestling special micro wrestling episode.
You know how much I love TV.
I sent you this. It's called Big Little Brawlers.
Oh, that's so awesome.
There they are right there. That's the Big Little Brawlers.
That's so cool.
It's
so
like
excited.
A 10-part special series.
I gotta look at it.
Yeah, it's a 10-part special series.
I wonder if I know who any of them are. Because I'm real into little people.
You are.
World. That's the name of the show, Little Women Atlanta.
It just sounded funny to hear you say that you're really into little people.
I'm not like that, but I'm excited.
That's all I have right now, though, Lauren. That was it. That's pretty much what we have this week. So that's all I got for this week. Make sure to like and subscribe if you don't already. Please share this video wherever you think casual wrestling fans are. If you want to contribute to the Casual Wrestling Creator Fund, the link is in the description of this video. If you want to be a part of the show, I will be posting an email in the description of this video where you can contact me and we can talk and see if you are a fit to come on and talk casual wrestling with me. As always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D. That is Level Up Lauren. And this has been another episode of the Casual Wrestling Show. We will see you guys next week. No, 2 weeks from now when we return. Ring the final bell.
Ding, 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 ding.